Welcome, I'm Deronda. Today I'm going to show you how to make this apple spice coffee cake. Absolutely fantastic for these fall and winter days ahead. For the cake part, you're going to need 2 cups of all-purpose flour, or if you'd like to substitute with bread flour, you may. 1½ cups of packed lightly browned sugar, 1 cup of sour cream, 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract. Make sure you use pure vanilla, it'll make all the difference in flavor. 2 large eggs, 1/2 cup plus 2 of butter at room temperature, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of ground apple pie spice, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And we're going to need 2 cups of peeled, cored, and chopped Granny Smith apples. I peel and chop my apples after I make the cake batter, and I'll show you how to do that here in a little bit. For the crumb part of the cake, you're going to need 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour, and again, you can substitute with cake flour, 1/4 cup of butter at room temperature, 1/2 cup of packed lightly browned sugar, an additional 1/2 teaspoon of that ground apple pie spice, and 1/2 cup of walnuts chopped, or you can use pecans. Or if you want to leave the nuts out altogether, you may. Let's get started. In a medium mixing bowl, I'm adding all the flour, the baking soda, the pumpkin pie spice. I meant the apple pie spice, but if you want to use pumpkin pie spice, you may do that too. Baking powder and the salt. With a whisk, we're going to whisk these ingredients until they're well blended and the flour and the spices and the baking soda, salt, and powder are well incorporated into that flour. And that looks absolutely perfect. Now, we can set this off to the side. In a larger bowl, we're going to add that softened butter. You see how soft that is? That's what you're wanting. If you need it to get a little softer, put it in the microwave, nuke it for about 5-10 seconds at a time till you get this lovely softness. It's definitely what you want to make this cake. And I'm just adding that extra 2 tablespoons. Add all that brown sugar, that 1.5 cups, with a hand mixer on medium speed. We're going to beat this for 3 to 4 minutes. Be sure to scrape down the sides of the bowl as you go. After 4 minutes, this is what you get. See how light and creamy that is? And it even got lighter in color. Next, we're adding 1 egg at a time. Continue beating this until you can no longer see the yolk. About 30 seconds. Continue scraping down the sides of the bowl as you go. After 30 seconds, it's time to add our second egg. Beat this for an additional 30 seconds. Continue scraping down the sides of the bowl as you go. After an additional 30 seconds, we can add that pure vanilla extract. On low, we're going to mix this in until we can no longer see the vanilla. And that's it. Next, we're going to start adding 1/3 of our flour mixture with the spices and baking powder and baking soda, with 1/3 of our sour cream. Start on low so you won't end up getting a flour shower. You can continue increasing your speed to medium high and beat for about 1 minute, or until you can no longer see the flour. After about a minute, we're going to add an additional 1/3 of the flour with the 1/3 of our sour cream. Repeat. Start on low. Continue scraping down the sides of your bowl. That's coming along very lovely, and look how thick and rich that batter is. Woo! You know it's going to be a lovely moist cake. Add your additional flour mixture along with your additional sour cream. I like using a spatula because I want to get it all out of my bowl. Again, start on low. Continue scraping down the sides of your bowl as you go. That looks absolutely great. Now I'm going to show you how I'm going to add the apples. I've been cutting the peel of my Granny Smith apples off using a paring knife. It works best. And I like to go all the way around to see if I can keep it in one big long apple peel. Almost got there. You can just remove a little bit of the green as you see. It's not going to hurt anything if you leave it on. I like taking a chef's knife, slicing the apples in half and then into quarters before I remove the core of our apple. And with a paring knife, I just remove the end there and this end. And that core right there, if you get your paring knife in there just right, it usually pops out. If it cracks in two, no worries, because we're going to end up chopping this into our cake batter. To chop the apple quarters, I come back with my chef's knife and just go ahead and do little rough choppings. Now, if you want to dice it, you may. If you want to leave your apple pieces larger, you may. But I find if I cut them down or chop them down like this, they bake a lot better throughout the cake. I've got my 1 cup of chopped apples. Just gonna pour it in, give it a lovely little stirring. When you get it down in the batter, it'll stop that oxidizing on your apple. Back with our apple cake batter. We're gonna get all those apples in there. Stir this in until it's well blended throughout batter. Smells so yummy. I'm baking my cake in a 13 by 9 inch pan that I've lightly greased and floured. I'm going to add that delicious apple spice coffee cake here in the bottom, and then we're going to evenly distribute it from corner to corner. For the topping, add the flour, the brown sugar, kind of crumble it up, and that apple spice with a whisk. We're going to incorporate it, and some of it just kind of went flying over on the other countertop. But it happens when you're baking and cooking. Come back with that 1/4 cup of butter. You see how nice and soft that is? That's what you're wanting. And we're going to work it right into our brown sugar, flour, and cinnamon. And boy, does this smell good. Just sort of push it around back and forth. And you may, if you're adding nuts, add it at this time. Work it back and forth until you get all these ingredients well blended. And I always find out that a fork works best. See how everything's well blended? Add this to the top of our cake by just using your hands and evenly distribute it on the top. Oh my gosh, this is going to be fantastic. Be sure your oven is preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Kind of use your hands to make sure you get it from corner to corner. Then you want to use your hands, kind of just pat it down in there. Tap it on the surface to get all the air pockets out. Very important because you don't want to cut into it and have air bubbles. This is off to that preheated oven on the middle rack for the next 35 to 40 minutes or until a toothpick inserted comes out clean. Use your timer and no peeking. 40 minutes are up and let's take a look at that apple spice crumb cake. Oh, woo, that looks good. I'm gonna use a toothpick. We're gonna put it in, pull it out. No batter on that toothpick, so it's completely baked. So out of the oven and off to a cooling rack for cooling down. I've had my cake cooling for about 40 minutes. And for presentation, I just like to put these like little cinnamon sticks here on the top to really let you know what you're going to be cutting into. Oh my yums. I can already tell how fabulous this is going to be. And look how nice and fluffy that is, how it just springs right back. Oh, and that crumb topping. Here, gotta give it a try. And if you could be here and smell the cinnamons and the apples and spices, wow. Absolutely delicious. A delicious, moist cake. Those apples have just baked right into the batter, even though you can see a little bit right there. And the cinnamon and those walnuts, you're not going to be disappointed in this apple spice coffee cake. It's fabulous. And I can just see a little drizzle of caramel over the top, a little scoop of ice cream, or a little bit of whipped cream. And look how much it makes. A 13 by 9 inch pan. You can't go wrong. I'm Deronda with Foods 101. Leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up, hit that notification bell to be the first to get my new YouTube food videos. Thanks a million for watching, you all. Stay safe, and I'll catch you lovely people later.